Well, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you might happen to be in the world. Welcome to the IAG live show, and I am coming at you from Limassol in Cyprus. Yes, the location of City of Dreams Mediterranean. You can see little COD ad in the background there, which is just a bag. Yes, that is the production value we have here at IAG Live. There we go. Let's line it up. And it is the ungodly hour of 4 a.m. for me, which is 10 a.m., of course, the usual time on a Friday, 10 a.m. On Friday for IAG Live. And joining us from Sydney, Australia, managing editor of Inside Asian Gaming, Ben Blashki. Come on in, Ben.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Ben. How are you?
I'm good. It's not 4 a.m. here. It's 1 p.m., so a bit more of a reasonable time.
Yes, that's the same time. I got in here late. I wouldn't say late last night, but I got in here at, well, the time here was around 10, but I flew in from Dubai, so it was really midnight Dubai time. And then by the time I got the car from Larnaca, of course, when you come to City of Dreams Mediterranean, you fly into Larnaca in Cyprus, on the Greek side of Cyprus. Those of you who may not be familiar with Cyprus, there's a Greek side on the southern side of Cyprus, and then northern Cyprus is the Turkish side, and there's a border in between. And the City of Dreams Mediterranean properties on the Greek side. So you fly into Larnaca, and then you get a car. It took about 45 minutes at night time. It takes about 1 hour during the day to drive across to Limassol, where the COD property is, COD Mediterranean. So I didn't finally get to bed till about 1:15 midnight, and here it is 4 a.m. I've been up, so there hasn't been too much sleep, but that's okay. I'm used to that. And how is it over there in Sydney, Ben?
Lovely 30 degrees today, Andrew. It's been quite a good week. I'm told that when I was in Barcelona for ICE that it absolutely poured down here in Sydney. Well, it poured in Barcelona as well, so I didn't miss anything.
Right, very good. Well, in the UAE, it was very pleasant in the UAE in February. Oh, no, January it still is, isn't it? Yes, in January it was extremely pleasant, and in fact, it even got a little bit chilly at night. So that's incredible for the UAE. Obviously, it gets much hotter as the year progresses. But here it's quite. I wouldn't say chilly, but it's crisp and quite brisk here as well. Why don't we bring in our intrepid studio producer, Oscar Guiaro? Everyone loves to see Oscar on these broadcasts. Hello, Oscar. Still in Spain. Last week in Spain.
Yeah, a few days just to go back to Macau.
Very good. Ben, do you have any questions for Oscar?
Oscar, yeah. How are you going? You had a busy week at ICE. Have you recovered mentally?
Yeah, but not with the weather. It's still the same. Windy, all the country full of snow. So looking forward to going back to Macau.
Yes, it was a cold week in Barcelona. Last year it was beautiful weather for ICE. It was, 17, 18 degrees and sunny. This year it was more, 10, 11 and raining the whole time.
Yeah.
Yes, well, we have a European IAG live today. Two of us in Europe. Well, we'll say Cyprus is in Europe, even though we claim it to be as a bit of a desperate measure to be in the Middle East, so that we can cover it in IAG. Ben, tell us, mate. Oscar, you hang around too because you're at ICE. Ben, why don't you give us your take on on ICE, because we got a bit from Oscar last week, but you were still in the air on the way coming back. What was your take on the second ever ICE at Barcelona, as opposed to the 88 prior to it in London?
Yeah, look, I watched back the last week's show and was listening to Oscar's comments. And I actually agree completely. I mean, the show was bigger. I think they had 5 full halls this year, plus the affiliate, plus some bits and pieces around the show. So I agree. I mean, it didn't feel more packed, probably because of the extra space. We ran into Dickie from Clarion on the last day, and he said the numbers they were talking about are around about 65,000. So pretty enormous sort of numbers there. Look, it was a good show. I thought it was quite productive. We had a bit of Asian content there. Named Sue Kim, the Bally's chairman, gave a keynote, and I caught up with Sue Kim. Of course, he's now chairman of Star Entertainment Group in Australia as well. Pagcor had a hefty contingent of people there. Chairman Tenko came along to our party. He also spoke on a panel as well. Caught up with him there. Had a good chat and caught up with Dan Cecilio and the other Pagcor crew. So it's good to see quite a bit of Asian representation. The suppliers also mentioned that quite a few of the operators passed through from Asia. Singapore, Macau, Philippines had representation there as well. So that's good. It shows that it really is a global show, ICE. As usual, strong iGaming content. I think Hall 3 was land-based and a lot of the rest was online. But yeah, a little busy show, and it just keeps getting bigger each year.
I mean, it clearly is the biggest show in the world. It is substantially bigger than G2E in October in Las Vegas. And G2E is still quite American-centric, bit of tribal, quite a lot of tribal actually in there. America having roughly 1,000 casinos, about half of which are tribal and half of which are commercial. But the G2E show feels very, very American. Whereas I guess when you go to ICE, it feels a little bit more global. I mean, it's also very, very European, but it's more global. It's European plus a bit of global, whereas G2E to me feels like America. And I think also it's definitely bigger. And of course, it feels very iGaming, whereas G2E feels very land-based. I mean, there was one land-based hall at ICE out of 5, that says about 20% land-based, 80% iGaming. Probably feels about right, yeah?
Yeah, that's probably about right. One of the good things about ICE, I mean, it happens at G2E as well, is, the walk around and bumping into people, because you'd bump into the most unexpected people that you'd forgotten, you hadn't seen for 6 months, and then you bump into them in the middle of one of the halls in ICE. I mean, that's one of the great things about it, and from all spectrums of the industry. So, yeah, no doubt it is very iGaming. And I guess the thing from our perspective is we've now got our iGaming brand, Complete iGaming, so that's quite relevant to us. And also, I mean, some of those stands are just, I heard that I won't mention who, but I heard one of them spent, was it 5 million or something on their stand, one of the big ones, and just, quite amazing spectacles what they've put together there.
Just for 3 days, yeah. I mean, unfortunately, I wasn't there. The first year I hadn't been there for many years. I had a little bit of a last-minute situation occur in Melbourne and had to stay in Melbourne longer, which meant that this trip that I'm doing now I'm doing the trip that I was meant to be doing about 2 weeks ago. So, but we had a big contingent there. I mean, Corey from CDC and IAG as well was there. You were there. Oscar was there. Hannah was there from Complete iGaming, and Jadeson was there as well. So we had 5 of us there, and I guess you guys were very, very busy.
Yeah, I think we covered a few kilometres back and forth through those halls. So it's always a reminder of how big that place is.
Very good. All right. Well, Oscar, last week in Spain, and from next Friday, you'll be back in the office in Macau.
Yeah. Okay.
Safe flight back. Safe flight back, and we'll see you in Macau next week.
See you. Bye.
See you, Oscar. All right, Ben. So let's see. What do we have to do now? We've talked about that. Oh, the February issue. Of course, we've just we're about to release. Should be imminently in the next hour or two. The digital edition of the February issue has gone out. Will be going out, and all the stories are online and live now on asgame.com. Right?
Yeah, that's right. If anybody wants to jump on there, click on the Mag Articles tab, and they can see all of the content from the February issue, which was uploaded late yesterday. As you say, well, we're pushing it out via our digital edition, prepared by a good colleague Wing as we speak. Yeah, interesting issue, Andrew. The cover story, quite timely, talking about iGaming. It's focusing on New Zealand. New Zealand's push to regulate and license an online casino industry specifically. So I've spoken to a number of experts in the field. I've spoken to one of the leading lawyers, game industry lawyers in New Zealand, Jared True. Spoke to Jamie Nettleton, of course, as well, who's working with a lot of operators looking to bid for one of those up to 15 licenses on offer. And just quite interesting in the fact that it's, New Zealand, I guess, other than the Philippines, is really the first jurisdiction in APAC to really take this leap into having the full suite of regulated online products. They've already got sports betting and lottery, but now they're going online casino, online poker. So, I think interesting just in that regard. And if New Zealand succeeds in having a strong, safe, well-regulated online gaming industry, will that prove to be a model for other jurisdictions in the region to follow suit?
Yes, it was interesting. I read your cover story there a day or so ago, or 2 days ago, and it reads very much. I mean, the powers that be in the government in New Zealand have made this decision to legalise online casino gaming. It sounds like they've been watching IAG and watching our broadcast and listening to our commentary, because they basically espouse the exact same logic that we've been saying for a long time, which is, hey, this is going on anyway. They're not looking to create any extra gambling. All they're doing is looking to take the gambling that is already happening with grey market sites and illegal sites, and to bring that into the fold, into a clean, regulated industry within New Zealand. And with all the AML and KYC and harm minimisation and a little bit of taxation for the country, which makes sense. So it sounds very much like they've just been listening to all the things that we've been saying for the last few years.
I mean, it's refreshing to hear the minister overseeing all of this, Brooke Van Velden, speak with such clarity and basically just such logic. I mean, everything she said makes complete sense. It should be the playbook that other jurisdictions follow. Of course, so many we've seen politicians seem to think that banning is an effective tool. You and I have spoken many times about we don't agree with that prohibition concept in any way, shape, or form, and it doesn't work. So New Zealand really seem to have their ducks lined up. They know, a bit like Singapore did when they legalised casinos, is they had a very clear strategy and purpose as to what and why they were doing it. And New Zealand are doing the same in terms of the online.
Yeah, well, hopefully they get it right. And of course, we've got what we've got in the Philippines. The POGO regime ultimately did not survive in the Philippines, and sustainability, it's got to be set up in a sustainable and careful way. So I know they've taken their time about it. I know it's running a little bit later than they had, probably running 6 to 12 months later than they had hoped on their timeline. But I think that's perfectly okay, because it's going to be around for a very long time and you want to get it right. And as you say, it could be a good model for other markets eventually. I'm sure we will get, I've been saying it for years, we will eventually get iGaming proliferating throughout the Asia Pacific region in the way it does in Europe and the way it's going to in America. You can see the Americas are a little bit ahead of us, and it's going to happen. So yeah, very, very interesting. Any other stories in the February issue worth shouting out?
Yeah, there's a few, Andrew. Well, of course, the Aussie Millions is coming back to Melbourne, coming back to Crown Melbourne in late April, early May. For those who aren't following the poker industry or don't know about the Aussie Millions, it has traditionally been one of the biggest events, well, globally. It was one of the first events globally, annual poker tournaments with a $10,000 buy-in. A bit of a dime a dozen these days, but back in the day, there were maybe three. The Aussie Millions was one of them. It was globally renowned. People love coming out to Australia, even from the other side of the world, to play in this event. It's always been very well run, very player friendly. In the Australian summer, great weather. it traditionally lined up with the Australian Open tennis. Of course, the Crown have sort of moved the dates a little bit this time to fit into a spot where it makes more sense in terms of hotel room availability and that sort of thing. But I've spoken to Harold and Dan there at Crown and sort of delved into why now is the right time to bring this tournament back, what they're hoping to achieve, how poker plays into Crown's overall strategy. It's a really good insight, I think, as to what this tournament can be again.
Oscar, maybe you can flick forward the next page or two to the one with Harold. There it is. There's Harold. Just go back one, Oscar. Harold Marcos, of course, many, many years in Macau. I think around maybe 20 years in Macau. A very popular figure. Originally blooded in Crown Melbourne back in the, dare I say it, I guess 90s, and then moved to Macau as one of the very first Australians to move to Macau. Spent a lot of time at Galaxy with Graham Waldo, the forerunner of Broadway, and then moved to Sands for a long time as well. Was at Sands there at based at the Venetian, and moved back to Crown again. I'm going to get this wrong, but it feels like 2 to 3 years ago now that Harold moved back. And when I'm in Melbourne, I usually catch up with Harold, and he's running the gaming there at Crown, and then Dan running the poker room, right?
That's right, yeah. And Andrew, of course, you played in the Aussie Millions a number of times in the past too. So
it hasn't been a happy hunting. It hasn't been a happy hunting ground for me. I don't know if I've ever even cashed in the Aussie Millions. I suspect I haven't, or if I have, it was a min cash or something. I've done a little bit better than that in some of the World Series, but the Aussie Millions. But it's a great tournament. I mean, it's been on sabbatical now for 6 years, I think. Yeah.
Right, yeah. 2020 was the last one, early 2020, just before the pandemic.
Right. I mean, it's a great tournament. So they've always treated their players very well in Melbourne. There's always been a bit of a culture of poker being something that they wanted to do well and that they saw as an important part of their offering. Whereas in other casinos, sometimes poker is a bit of an afterthought, but definitely not so in Crown. So if there are any international players wanting to get down there, I thoroughly recommend it. It's a really good tournament. 10,600 Australian dollar buy-in, which these days with the exchange rate's about $3.75 US, I think. No, that's not that bad. I think it's a little bit under 7,000 US, and there's 18 tournaments over. Is it 10 days or so, Ben?
Yeah, there's. I think it's a little bit longer than that, but there are 18 tournaments. I think the buy-ins are from 1,500 to 25k Australian. I anticipate that over the coming years, once Crown has run this series this year and worked out how successful it is, I think it will be very successful. I wouldn't be surprised to see them expand again over the coming years. We could see 20, 25 events over the next few years. So, and back in the day, of course, they had a 100k buy-in and a 200k buy-in that were, they used to get the biggest names in the world coming out to play those events. So will we see those ones back sometime, perhaps?
Yes, and the other good news is the restrictions on playing hours that occur in Australian casinos in Victoria have been lifted for the poker, so there's no such restriction there if anyone was wondering about that. And also hotels. There's 3 hotels at Crown. There's the Crown Towers is sort of the flagship at the east end of the casino there, and there's Metropole and Promenade. And also a lot of hotels nearby as well. If you're looking for something at a bit of a lower price point, there's hotels really within walking distance, a very short drive. So no issues there. So yeah, I would thoroughly recommend players to get down there if they can. What are the exact dates again, Ben? Have you got them handy, or they're in IAG?
You're testing my knowledge now, Andrew. It's late-ish April to early-ish May, off the top of my head. The dates.
Right. We'll go read it in IAG. Anything else in the February issue you want to call out? Quite a good issue. There's an interesting article there from David Green, wasn't there?
Yeah, I was going to say the other two I'll call out are the 2 columnists who got this issue. So David Green, of course, are really interesting, looking at the fact that Macau or Cotai Strip is built on reclaimed land, and that there is potentially a sinking problem with global warming and rising water levels. So he looks at the whole issue of insurance around that particular issue and perhaps some solutions that could be visited. Look, it's quite complex what David delves into, so I recommend jumping in there and reading the story. David makes some really interesting points. He's always got some quite fascinating viewpoints, David, on anything he talks about, really, Andrew.
Yeah, he's really good. He's really good. We had him speaking at the IAG Academy Summit as part of the IAG Expo year before last. He wasn't there last year, but that was not through any certainly was not through any lacking in confidence in his ideas and his speaking ability. He's excellent. He's a really, really good speaker and a great writer too. Makes some very interesting points. Yeah.
The other one, Andrew, is Sean McCamley, former president of Ho Tram, talking about the locals play in Vietnam, the fact that Ho Tram is now able to welcome locals, and us giving his take on what that means for the country as a whole, what that means from the government perspective, what they'll be looking at. And of course, Vietnam is sort of overhauling all of its gaming regime at the moment. They're looking at sports betting as well. And Sean makes the point that it's all intertwined. So again, a quite interesting story from Sean.
Yeah, and Phuoc Quoc also, the Corona Casino on Phuoc Quoc Island also having the access to locals as well. All right, well, let's move on to the stories of the week. We just pulled out 8 this week to have a bit of a chat about. So, Oscar, yeah, I thought this was a great story. Perhaps you can explain it, and then I can talk a bit about Wynn Al Marjan.
Yeah, so this is Wynn sent out a press release during the week detailing the fact that they are preparing to open in the coming months their staff residences. So this is where, I think they're going to have around 7,000 staff working at Wynn Al Marjan. So
that's about right.
Pretty chunk of those will probably be staying in these staff residences. And that looks pretty good, Andrew. I mean, if you decide that I'm no longer needed at IAG, I might go work at Wynn, and these residences look quite good. They've got all the facilities. They've got restaurants, fancy bars, and entertainment, and they look really, really quite swish.
Yeah, look, swish and Swiss. Look, I think probably there's a factor here of the fact that it is in the UAE, and people at first think UAE, is that the kind of place I want to live? Will it be difficult? Also, they hear that it's at Ras Al Khaimah. It's not in Dubai or Abu Dhabi, the 2 biggest cities in the UAE. So there's a little bit of hesitancy probably around that. But actually, the UAE is a fantastic place. I've just left there last night from Dubai, flown in here to Cyprus, and I spent 5 days in the UAE visiting RAK. I was up at RAK, and I visited Max Typiner, the property president of Wynn Al Marjan. I also went down to Abu Dhabi, where the regulator is, and had some other meetings as well. And I was in Dubai. I actually had dinner at Atlantis the Palm with some former Macau guys that we know. And look, it's just a great place, and very, very modern. I mean, you can get alcohol there, no problem at all. You wouldn't think you were in an Islamic country. You would just think you're in everyone speaks English. English is the lingua franca of the world. I mean, the population of the UAE is about 11 million, and only about 1 million of those are Emirati. So 10 million are expats. So it really is a United Nations of people. You get people from all over the world there. And English is used as lingua franca. All the signage is in English as well as Arabic. Everybody speaks English out and about. So it's actually, and up there at Wynn, it's going to be fantastic. So I think Wynn kind of need to make a really good offering for potential staff to lure them in the first place. But I think the staff that go will be extremely pleasantly surprised about what a nice working environment they are provided. So, yeah, hats off to Wynn. This is a really smart move, internal marketing move to get staff to want to go there.
Yeah, and it's about a little over a year probably until Wynn Al Marjan Island is scheduled to open. I really like the way they've just been gradually drip feeding little insights into what we're going to see there. This is one of them. We're going to talk about another one, I think, in a later story we're going to look at today. And it's quite interesting to see how they're, all these innovations. They're just letting us know, now we're doing this and now we're doing this. So it just adds to the mystique, I suppose, or the intrigue of seeing this property finished.
Look, they're doing it really well. Michael Weaver, the chief communications officer for Wynn, has been at that company for decades. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. He's got a local PR lady now at Marjan, Rebecca Hall, who actually I met while I was there. So they certainly know what they're doing in terms of a comm strategy. But in communications aside, the substance of what they're doing is there as well. So the property's looking fantastic, and it's nearly. I mean, we've covered it that it has topped out, and the Wynn, the sort of the golden brown color of Wynn, is almost to the top of the tower. I guess it's up to about the 60th floor of 70. So from the outside, it's looking almost finished. Now, of course, I'm sure on the inside, there's a lot more work to do. If the official word on the opening currently is spring 2027. Yours truly might have a bit more insight into that, but we'll keep it to the official publicly. We'll keep it to the official spring. So I guess, what's that? March, April, something like that. Around that time is springtime in the UAE. You wouldn't want to do it in the heat of summer. You'd want to get it done before, you wouldn't want to be doing it even in June. I think it'd be too late. So, maybe you could do it in June. You certainly wouldn't want to be doing it in July. So, because it does get damn hot there. Anyway, interesting. Oscar, just scroll down a little bit on that story. Show some of the other pictures. Oh, you did before. Don't these look? I mean, this is staff accommodation. Wow. Keep going down. Yeah, it looks great, doesn't it? There's the gym. And scroll down. I mean, this is some kind of F&B outlet. Wow. I mean, that's for the staff. Scroll down. What's that? A movie cinema? Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, cinema experience. Yeah. So
very good. Maybe I'll quit my job and go work for them as well. All right. Very good. Let's move on. What's next, Oscar? There you go, Ben. You can do this one. Isn't that an amazing number?
Yeah, look, I mean, we do regular GGR related stories throughout the year, throughout each month, really. So this is the latest up to 25 days of January. So January looking very strong, of course, at this stage. Another 6 days of January left after that. So I guess we'll end up at around 2.7, 2.8 billion US for the month. And just goes to show that Macau is holding strong. The general expectation is for around about 6% growth in 2026. From 2025, good start to the year.
Good start. That's an understatement. I mean, for January, 2.8 billion. I mean, we were averaging. Remember, a year ago, it was sort of, will it be 2 or won't it be 2? Now we're talking 2.8. I mean, that's nearly 3. We're talking 3 times 12 is 36. Take a little bit off, maybe 35. Compared to what do we get to in? I should know this. What do we get to in 2025? We didn't quite get to 30, did we? Or did we make it? No, we did. We got 30.7.
Yeah, we're over 30. We're almost 31.
Yeah, 30.7, 30.8. So that might end up being 35, which would be that'd be a 17% increase, not a 6% increase. But that's if January is indicative of all the other months. I guess it's a 31-day month, but January's not necessarily particularly a great month, is it? There's nothing special about January. I mean, there's no Golden Week in it. There's no holiday in it. Did it have 5 weekends? Maybe it. Yes, I think it's been a 5-weekend month because it's the weekend at the end of the month, right? So that helps.
Yeah, I think coming off the end of year holidays, a little bit of strength at the start of the month, slightly tapering off towards the end of the month, but nothing dramatic. So I think everybody will be pretty happy from what the word on the street is.
Yeah, so I guess there is an argument there might be a little bit above average 12 months, which means 35 might be more like 33, 34. But we're certainly saying it's going to begin with a 3. There's no doubt about that. The GGR in US dollars and tens of billions of US dollars for the 2026 year. Okay, next one, Oscar. There's Greg. A few moves at Solaire.
Yeah, this is just, again, locking in their entertainment partner for the future. They've been working with CMG Productions for a number of years now. Shows like Hamilton, Miss Saigon, some fairly recent ones. I think Jesus Christ Superstar is coming up soon. Our Chief of Staff, Scott, is very keen to see that, I understand. So So we're looking forward to that. Yeah, look, I mean, entertainment is vital these days in integrated resorts, isn't it, to bring people to the resorts? So locking in those shows moving forward.
Yes, GMG. I think you might have said CMG, Ben, but Complete Media Group, CMG. But GMG, the entertainment company, and they've got that new space there called The Space, so that's a new thing for them, and they're looking to ramp up their programming of the theatre. Very nice theatre there at Solaire. I've been to a few shows there over the years, and they're looking at I don't know if reinvigorating is the word, but just getting more value out of that asset and creating more. I mean, the Filipinos, they love their entertainment, don't they? So having a really, really strong entertainment schedule at the space and at the theatre and wherever else they might do in the Solaire property, that just makes good common sense. And that's one of the moves Greg's making there as the COO.
Yeah, you saw the space recently, Andrew, as well. I know you had a look at it.
Yes, I did. I went and had a look at. They had an interesting exhibition in there, Brickman with Lego pieces doing Seven Wonders of the World. It was quite interesting. They also had another one. I've just blanked on the other one that they had in there. I don't know if you know, Ben, but there was another one in there recently that was very popular. So an interesting space, concrete floor, open ceilings, kind of open with all the, you could sort of see the utilities. Well, there you go, Scott. Well, Scott was just in, actually, Scott's in Manila now. Scott's just spent the week in Manila, flying back to Macau today, I believe. And as he says, both the theatre and the space were hopping even midweek. So, great weather here in Manila, Scott offers. So that's fantastic. So, yeah, interesting. Trying to, and of course, that brings people to Solaire, which brings people to the gaming floor, which creates friends in the space first. Oh, that was the other show in the space. So that space is very multi-purpose. It could be used for anything really. So interesting what they're doing there in Solaire. All right, let's move on to the next one. Yes, here's your other story, Ras Al Khaimah's story. So, let me talk a little bit about this. There's a perception here that Ras Al Khaimah, because you look on the map of the UAE, and Ras Al Khaimah, which actually means top of the tent in Arabic, it's literally, it looks like it looks like a tent, and it's about the geographical location of Ras Al Khaimah in that peninsula, I guess. Not really peninsula, but that landmass there that the UAE is in, sort of like a triangle with Ras Al Khaimah at the top, and then below that is Sharjah, below Sharjah is Dubai, and then below Dubai is Abu Dhabi. And then there's three other emirates on the other side on the east side of facing the Gulf. So there's a perception that, you fly into Dubai airport because Dubai is kind of like the main international airport for the UAE, even though Abu Dhabi is the capital. And perfectly serviceable airport at Abu Dhabi as well, by the way. So Etihad is the airline of Abu Dhabi, and Emirates is the airline of Dubai. But by looking at the map, you say, Ras Al Khaimah, it's an hour's drive up to Ras Al Khaimah. Now, it was a 50-minute drive for me. When I did a drive, I landed at Dubai airport and went straight to Ras Al Khaimah. And that was exactly 50 minutes. So it's not an hour, it's 50 minutes. But I got to tell you, the traffic in Dubai is terrible. It is one of the features of Dubai. It's got very, very bad traffic. And if you want to drive, I mean, it can take 50 minutes to drive from Dubai airport to downtown Dubai. So, and if you're staying in one of those really fancy hotels, like if a casino in Dubai eventually ends up being in Atlantis, for example, or ends up being in that hotel that MGM is building next door to the Jumeirah Al Marsa Al Arab, that can be 50 minutes at times. It may even be quicker to drive to Wynn at RAC than to drive to the casino in Dubai from Dubai Airport. There more, or there may not be much in it, depending on how much traffic is around. So this sort of concept, this idea that Wynn's going to do great while there's nothing open in Dubai, and as soon as there's something open in Dubai, that'll really hurt Wynn. I don't really buy that. So that's the first thing I'd like to say about that. I'd like to disabuse people of that notion. But in any event, now moving on to our story, Ras Al Khaimah does have an airport. It's not a big airport; it's a single runway airport, but it is a perfectly serviceable airport that can take large narrow-body planes. I'm pretty sure it can't take an A380, but it's a perfectly serviceable airport, and people could fly in directly to that airport. I don't know what the routes are, but interestingly, that the CEO of the airport coming out to say they're going to create a dedicated VVIP terminal. I don't think it's dedicated to Wynn's players, but I think obviously that will be a large source of business for that terminal, Ben.
Yeah, well, they're also developing. I mean, I think they're working on a number of phases here. So they're upgrading their existing terminal, which I think once done will take about 1.4 million people annually. They're building another terminal that I think itself will take another 4.5 million. And then, of course, this VVIP terminal for elite and celebrities coming into RAC. And I think, Andrew, RAC as a whole is really focusing on this tourism industry as a way forward. So, Wynn is just a part of that. There's so much more going on across the whole area there just to play to that tourism drive.
Yeah, look, that's very true. I mean, all that development around Al Marjan Island. I stayed on Al Marjan Island. I stayed in one of the hotels there. There's a lot of hotels, a lot of residential buildings going up there. Now, none of that would happen if it wasn't for the Wynn, or certainly it wouldn't happen at the pace that it's happening if it wasn't for the Wynn development. The Wynn is the anchor. And I note that the CEO of Marjan, Wynn's partner in Wynn Al Marjan, which is a government-linked entity, linked to the government of Ras Al Khaimah. I note that he was in Hong Kong this week, drumming up business for Ras Al Khaimah generally. So Ras Al Khaimah looking for international investment and looking to establish itself as a tourist playground in the UAE. And I think that's a great niche that they're carving out for themselves, because Ras Al Khaimah will never be Dubai, it will never be Abu Dhabi, but it can be Ras Al Khaimah. And it can make a name for itself as a tourism destination. I mean, a bit like, it's not a great analogy, just comes immediately to mind. But in Japan, something like Hokkaido, Hokkaido is never going to be Tokyo. It's never going to be Osaka, but it's known as a tourism playground, particularly for skiing. So it's obviously at the cold end, not at the hot end. But Ras Al Khaimah can carve out a niche for itself and a name for itself in that way. And I think that's exactly what they're trying to do.
Yeah, a little like Clark in the Philippines, I guess, as well, with golf. Yep. So.
Good example.
Yeah.
Good example.
All
right, let's move on. What's next, Oscar? Oh, sorry, Ben, did I interrupt you? You were going to add something?
Well, talking about Clark, so this is actually a very good time.
Oh, there you go. You can do this.
So Clark Hann early this week held a media briefing in Clark about Hann Reserve. Of course, Hann Reserve is their quite expansive development that they're working on at the moment. Once completed, it's going to have 3 world-class golf courses linked to Jack Nicklaus, KJ Choi, and Nick Fowler each course. It's going to have an international school. It's going to have PGA accredited facilities, all sorts of destination attractions, bushwalks, wellness, all sorts of different things there. It will eventually have a casino as well. That has been talked about before. But so I had their media briefing early this week on Tuesday or Wednesday. I think it was Wednesday, actually.
Wednesday, yeah.
Scott Messenger was there on behalf of IAG, of course. And the reason for this is because they're soft opening the first of those golf courses, the Jack Nicklaus, the Nicklaus Design course today, which will be available to a very select number of their special guests of Hann, special casino guests of Hann. And of course, once at this stage, I believe the official opening of Hann Reserve Phase 1 will be in March. Yep. And once fully open, then again, the golf course will be mainly available to guests of Hann. They'll certainly have special access. So, Andrew, we're very familiar with the existing Hann property in Clark. We've been there a number of times. Very successful. Mr. Hann has really led the way there in Clark and looking to do so again with this property in New Clark City. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, I mean, with me on the road here in the Middle East and Europe at the moment, and you having just come back from ICE in Spain, back to Sydney, Scott went over there. IAG Chief of Staff Scott Messenger went over to the Philippines, and he's got a long history with the Philippines, married to a Filipina, and as he says, they're really an amazing vision and a new paradigm. We probably should get Scott on at some point to talk about his experience. Probably should have got him on today. But look, I think it was great to see them do what they did this week. And as I say, Scott spent the week in Manila catching up with people. But the primary driver of that was to go to this media event on Wednesday. And congratulations to Mr. Hann on what he's doing. He's expanded. I mean, that casino is pumping on the weekends and during the week too, but particularly on the weekends, it is really pumping. And they have expanded. We recently reported on their expansion at the back of the main floor there to make more capacity. And this is an all credit to Mr. Hann. He's pinning his success around golf, which is a great thing to pin it around in Clark, because Clark is well known for golf. It's much cheaper for Koreans and Japanese to fly to Clark and play golf there than it is to do it in their own countries. And there's going to be some world-class golf courses in Clark. I mean, there's already great golfing there, but this is going to take it to a next level. And by creating this Hann Reserve, and it's also beautiful in Clark there, isn't it? I mean, it's like sort of that foresty, not forest, but sort of green. You know, it's very green and lush around that area. The soil is very good soil because of is it Mount Pinatubo, the one that erupted back in the 90s, I want to say, and so very good volcanic ash laden soil, which leads to a lot of greenery and a lot of lush vegetation in the area. So it's quite beautiful, that area. It's got a real countryside kind of feel to it, doesn't it, when you wake up? So it must be beautiful to play golf there. And I think Mr. Hunn's got a good strategy there by having a lot of non-gaming, you know, not just opening a casino, but opening a true integrated resort with all these different amenities. And that's being borne out in the success and the profitability of his business, because Hann is almost 50% of all of the GGR for all of the, I think it's about 6, 7, 8 properties in Clark. And he's captured almost 50% of the market there. Imagine what he's going to do when all this is finished. So, yeah, really good development. And yes, it opens in March, and we will have people there covering the opening of the full opening of Hann Reserve in March.
Yep, absolutely, Andrew. Agree with all of that.
All right, let's move on. Next one, Oscar. Yeah, just thought I'd bring this one up. Mention that Stelios has stepped down after 11 years at Tigre de Cristal. Stelios, a good friend of IAG, and we wish him well. I'm sure he will stay in the industry. I actually spoke to him the other day briefly, and he's in fine form, but it was time for a career change, so he will move on. And Tigre de Cristal no longer. I mean, if you go all the way back, it was actually Lawrence Ho owned, not Melco owned, Lawrence Ho owned, and then Sun City for a while, and then obviously after Sun City's demise, it's become sort of its own entity, and then with the Russians and so forth, and then with the international sanctions against Russia, it's kind of become a bit more isolated. It's been through a bit of a story, this property, hasn't it?
Yeah, look, it's still majority owned by Summer Descent and Let Group. But of course, Andrew Lowe famously tried to sell this property a couple of years ago. Probably a little bit naughty, Andrew, didn't get the proper permission yet. But Stelios has been through a lot of challenges with this property, as you say, Andrew. I mean, multiple ownership changes, as you say, and certainly the way it's been run. But biggest one, of course, is the war with Russia and Ukraine, which has really impacted its ability to attract international players. But funnily enough, it's probably while Summer Descent and Let Group have been facing various challenges on various fronts, this has been the one profitable property of theirs, despite the challenges it's faced. It's still made a small little profit there during these challenging times. So I think Stelios has done a good job to stick it out through all of that. But after 11 years, I'm sure he's ready to try something a bit different.
Maybe somewhere a bit warmer in the winter as well. As those Vladivostok winters are tough, I hear.
Yeah, maybe he's off to Hann Reserve, Andrew, to play a bit of golf. Who knows?
That would make sense. That would make a lot of sense. Anyway, let's move on. What's next? We wish Stelios, Mr. Tsifetakis, but we wish him well and whatever comes out. Oh, look at this that came out yesterday. 806 million. Now, I know it's adjusted EBITDA. Is it adjusted property EBITDA or just adjusted EBITDA?
Adjusted property.
You probably should change the title there to read property then as well. But nevertheless, even with that, 806 million US dollars for a quarter. I mean, my God, wow.
It's just Marina Bay Sands keeps surprising to the upside. They did have, I think it was about $45 million luck adjusted. They ran well at high-end Baccarat, VIP Baccarat. But look, that property just is going from strength to strength. And this is before, I mean, they've only just broken ground on their $8 billion expansion. It will be a number of years before we see the fourth hotel tower. Imagine what we'll be looking at then.
It's insane. It's insane. I mean, they have profit margins of 50 and 55%, and the industry average is about 28%. So, I mean, it's just a money making machine, and people love going there. People just love it. I mean, I love it. I love going there. Beautiful hotel rooms, great floor, great restaurants. There's always something going on. I mean, it's just a magnet for tourists from all over the world and people from that region in particular.
I was on the phone yesterday, Andrew, actually, to Nick Yanides from Marina Bay Sands.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're talking about just casually about this result. And I made the comment to Nick that, post-COVID, I think people around the world have really realized the value of experiences more than ever. And Marina Bay Sands really plays to that, doesn't it? I mean, you go to Marina Bay Sands and you have an experience. It's quite amazing just to stay there, to walk the property, whatever you do there. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I usually get 2 nights there, and when I go, and I mean, I wish it was longer, but with my schedule, I really can't afford more than 2 nights. And I really look forward to it. With all the travel that I do, I don't necessarily look forward to every single place that I go to, but I really look forward to going to Marina Bay Sands. And they treat you so well. They treat me very well, but I don't think it's just me. I think it's indicative of how they treat all their customers. Their service mentality there. I mean, they've got they won't like me saying this, but they've got a Wynn-like mentality. They would say they've got a Marina Sands-like service mentality. But do they challenge? Wynn's always been acknowledged in our industry globally as the absolute gold standard for the best service in the world. Well, I think Marina Bay Sands may well have topped it. Not all of Sands globally, but certainly Marina Bay Sands in Singapore, their service is just immaculate. Whoever's running those service standards there and doing the training there, I should know who that is. I might ask them who it is. Or maybe we should interview them, because whatever they're doing, they got to keep doing it, because they're doing a sterling job. They're a very, very good job. So it's hard to criticize. It's almost, I hate to say this, but it's almost the perfect integrated resort, isn't it? Pretty hard to find something wrong with it.
Oh, it's great. The rooms are brilliant. I've stayed in the old rooms, and I've stayed in one of the new rooms maybe 2 years ago. The pool on the sky deck is just a bucket list item. I mean, you have to do it once in your life, don't you? Swim in that pool overlooking the city. It's just spectacular. And even if you just get out of Marina Bay Sands there and walk through the gardens and walk through the precincts around it, it's a really great spot to visit. There's so much to do.
I was thinking about this result yesterday, and I was thinking, this is a bit of a weird analogy. I have a lot of weird analogies, but to win a poker tournament, you've got to be good and lucky. So you need to be lucky, you need to get good cards, but then you need to be good at poker and smart and know how to play those cards. And I think that's exactly what's happened here with Marina Bay Sands. They kind of got lucky. You got to admit they got a great situation. They got one of those 2 licenses. They got they were lucky in some ways in the situation they got, but all credit to them, they played those cards really well. They've taken that hand that they were dealt, and they have done an absolutely fantastic job of executing on that and converting on that. So, I mean, when Paul Town got the gig there, I think a few people were like, "Oh, really, Paul?" But I mean, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and You know, he's done a great job there. I'm sure it's a team effort. Whatever they're doing well. And of course, we've got Patrick Dumont coming on as the chairman and CEO of Las Vegas Sands, the company that owns the parent company of Marina Bay Sands. I'm sure most people here know that Marina Bay Sands is directly owned by Las Vegas Sands. It's not Sands China Limited. And it'll be interesting to see. And I know Patrick likes Marina Bay Sands. I would too if I was him. I'd love it. And it'd be interesting to see what happens to the property under a Patrick Dumont leadership rather than a Rob Goldstein leadership. So, you know, that remains to be seen. He takes over on March 1st, so just a month to go now. And as you say, that $8 billion, you know, $8 billion what do they call it? They call it IR 2.0 or something. With the fourth tower and all the other parts that go with it, it's just going to be insane when they finish that. And look, it makes it very difficult for them to put a rod for their back for the next quarter, haven't they?
Yeah. But look, I mean, it just rakes in money, doesn't it? Hand over fist, it just keeps coming in. So, yeah, they're onto something pretty good there in Singapore.
Well, I remember when Rob Goldstein was saying it'll be $2 billion EBITDA a year, and then all of a sudden he turned around and said, no, it'll be $3 billion in EBITDA a year. Well, at this run rate, it's what's that, 3.2. So, yeah, it's the envy of the world, that place. I don't think there's much more we can say about that. All right, let's move on. Thought I'd throw this in from one extreme to the other. There you go. We've gone from the very top to the very bottom. This is kind of, well, I don't know what to say about this. It's sad, but it's also sad and it's bad.
Yeah, I mean, this was a bit of an interesting story that sort of came out overnight, reported by Bloomberg and a couple of other media outlets, actually reported by Chinese state media originally yesterday. So, I mean, we've heard a lot about the scam hubs across parts of Southeast Asia, particularly Myanmar, Laos, places like that. And, of course, China is not the biggest fan of these scam hubs, of course. That's no surprise. They've certainly... they've made a lot of noise about that. They're working with Myanmar and other places to try and eradicate them, and this is linked to all of that.
Look, they're even working with the US, and that shows how much they hate these things. For them to work with the US, there's a lot of friction between those two superpowers in the world at the moment, and they're cooperating on this because this really is a scourge of the planet. And why are we a B2B, leading B2B trade media organization for the integrated resort industry talking about this? Well, we're talking about this because, unfortunately, a lot of these scam sort of organized crime scam families, or I don't even want to call them companies, gangs really they are, masquerade as casino operators. And they do have casinos, they do have casino operations, but it's by no means, they started off on illegal iGaming, black market and dark grey market iGaming. They then graduated to physical casinos in these places, and then they realized they could make a lot more money by just simply cheating. I mean, why bother going through the motions of playing fairly when you can just cheat, lie, steal, and run these scams on people, these love scams and crypto scams, and you name it. And we've all heard a lot about what happened in the Philippines and in Cambodia, and particularly in Myanmar. It's really bad in Myanmar. They found a country to really dig their teeth into in Myanmar because it's pretty lawless, let's be honest. And these are masquerading as casino companies, which they're not, which is why we're talking about them. So it's good to see the world, and particularly China. I mean, mainland China doesn't muck around. You don't want to go up against mainland China, and this is ultimately the result. And while I personally don't believe in the death penalty, boy, does it send a message to any other organized criminals in gangs that want to engage in this kind of behavior and target mainland Chinese people as their victims. But they target anyone. They target anyone with money all over the world. It used to be Southeast Asia. Now it's Africa, Europe, America. It's all over the world. So it's good to see, from our point of view, we want a clean, regulated, good industry, and it's good to see China clamping down on this in this way and cooperating with Myanmar and Cambodia and other countries around Southeast Asia. And as I say, even the US and the UK and Australia, I know they've been cooperating with to do this, to try to stamp these places out in Myanmar. But one of the problems with these things is you stamp one out, it's like whack-a-mole, and another one pops up, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess you made the good point before that really what this shows is that China doesn't mess about. Again, I'm with you. I'm not a supporter of death penalty, but in terms of sending a message, that certainly tells you what China's view on all of this is.
Yeah, China. I mean, we won't get into that debate too much, but China's has the most liberal use of the death penalty of any country in the world, and there's none of this 20 years on death row business in China. I mean, if you get a year before they actually follow through on the sentence, you're lucky. So quite often it's less than that. So it's quite direct from the behaviour to the consequence. So a bit of a sobering story to end on. But if we could stamp out this behaviour throughout Southeast Asia, it would be a very, very good thing. I think that is the last story, right, Oscar? I think from memory that was it. Yes, it is. It is. So, Ben, what's for you on the weekend and then in the coming weeks?
I haven't really thought ahead to the weekend yet, Andrew. It's been quite a busy week of planning and getting bits and pieces done, finishing off February issue. As I said, that should be hitting inboxes in the next hour or so, hopefully. And hopefully everybody can spend their weekend having a read through.
Okay, very good. Well, I'll be here till Saturday. Then I'm actually going to Barcelona, of all places, for a few days. There's got some meetings there. And then I'll be on to London for a few days. I'm going to go visit Wynn Mayfair. I'm really excited about that. The former Aspinalls, of course. And which, by the way, is being run under the Wynn Al Marjan leadership. So they're seeing that as a bit of a feeder. And then I'll be off to Boston. So again, staying at Encore Boston, a bit of a Wynn fest at the moment, although COD here. Encore Boston Harbour for a few days, and then I'll be heading to Cleveland to get my head down with Corey and have a bit of an internal powwow for our company through much of February, and then on to Las Vegas. I'll be in Las Vegas in the first week of March, and then on to Sydney for the game. So I'll see you in Sydney.
Yeah, I'll see you there, Andrew.
Yes, and then on to San Diego for the Indian Gaming Association, then finally back over the Pacific to Manila for our Manila After Dark on April 14 and Macau After Dark on April 21. So there you go. That's a bit of a run through ahead. So busy times for me. Looks like a bit of a rest for you on the weekend, Ben. And we hope that all of you have a great weekend. Catch up with the February issue on the weekend if you have time, and keep following Inside Asian Gaming. I think that's it for us, and we'll see you next time. Bye.